Hey YouTube, I'm sorry if my voice isn't that clear. I'm recently sick and I can't really do anything about it. So if you don't understand me or stuff, I am so sorry. I sound like I'm losing my voice and I decided to actually do a video. And it's the worst decision of my life. I regret it right now, but I have to keep my promises or promises because I don't do that promises. I just say stuff and be like, let's roll with it. But all right. So last week on Twitter, I saw the new Netflix original movie, horror movie actually, that's called The Open House. So warning, this video contains spoilers. So if you haven't seen it or don't understand what I'm trying to tell you, you better much watch it or look it up while you're seeing this video so it doesn't really confuse you. So here we go. Okay. My voice sucks. Anyways, so there is this new movie on Netflix in the horror genre, which is The Open House, like I just said. So it's about Logan and his mother actually moving to her sister's house up until they buy it because of actually something I could relate to a tragic accident, which is really sad. I wasn't actually expecting it. I was expecting more like towards down the line and not like that, like in all the franchise movies or video games. If this is the reference I'm actually going to make, it's actually Sonic Forces. If no one has seen that yet, I suggest you just watch it or play it, buy it, whichever one you want. So here's the thing. That or the back to the movie and stuff. I actually was analyzing every character and their movement. First, we're introduced to Martha, which is a lonely woman and next door neighbor that apparently knows them. According to her, not Martha's sister, but Logan's mom's sister sent photos, talked about them and the recent accident. For me, that was a little skeptical because I didn't catch that the Logan's mother's sister mentioned anything about that, or I have to rewatch the film to that one part where I couldn't hear anything because there was a bunch of noises in the background and I was just like, please, I watched this in the wrong time. But I like the movie. I give it actually an 8 out of 10, but I don't like going back to the same series, either if it's more in depth or I just want to show someone and watch their reaction like always. So mostly for me, I found it skeptical that Martha knew these people and it was in the exact same time in the same place that they were in, which was still very skeptical. I'm like, what? Like, I know there's a bunch of coincidence where a lot of people actually run into each other. Trust me, I've been there. I don't want to see like people from school in stores and I'm like, no. I actually go the other way. I'm like, I'm not gonna see them. No. So back to the movie. When they were like driving there after they went to the store, they almost ran over a guy. And I was like, what? We're seeing right there a paranormal thing. Well, before I actually forget, Martha did mention that she lost her husband a few years back, which is another thing I found skeptical about her. I'm like, what? I'm sorry that that happened to you, but also, what? Actually, I'm confused right now, but down the line of this video, you'll understand why. That's if you watched it and you know my confusion. But if you haven't watched it and you're watching this without seeing it, my confusion is your confusion twice. So, back into the paranormal stuff. When they get there, they actually didn't experience that much paranormal stuff up until the next day. That's when they start to like not that much. It's like zero point 0.5 more. And I'm like, okay, this is not going as climactic as I expected to be, like any other horror movies, but it has its fair share of actually scaring you and settle in like what's happening. So I'm actually going to skip a bunch of stuff because it's not real, like it's not tied in into the what I'm predicting on who the serial killer is or who was haunting them. So when I was in the middle of the movie, we were introduced actually to this guy, Chris, and my first instinct was like, okay, now he's actually part of the serial killer list. I know that was a rookie move of me to actually speculate that, but if you've seen a bunch of horror movies, you'll know that one of the people new that you meet there is 95 to 50% the serial killer. So you can't judge me on that. You probably thought about it too. Probably. So down the list, I actually stopped the movie and be like collecting my thoughts like, okay, we have a dead husband, we have Chris, we have Ghost. I'm actually gonna get deep into that in just a minute. And we also have, you're not gonna believe me, but I actually have Martha's husband, because when I said I was confused and skeptical, like in a few seconds of the video, I actually got 10 times more confused on this part. Martha said, "What are you talking about? My husband's alive." I'm like, okay, lady, you've been apparently hit by something, or you're making it up. I have no idea. So we continue on with the story. I'm going to go like fast forwarding. So we're getting towards like the end, like 10 minutes of the movie. I have no idea. And it's shown that I was one of the criminals. I was actually wrong. Apparently Chris, dead. He's dead. He's gone, dead, out of the list. I'm like, what? He isn't. Oh my god. I'm like, I've always been wrong about who's the serial killer. And I'm like, fine, whatever. I always lose. So the point was that now that Chris is down, now I'm up to 2. The ghost that I mentioned earlier ish is that the father was actually the ghost that was haunting them from moving on. That was actually my first from the serial killer column, but also I'm still gaining up on Martha's husband, because we later get into the finale, and if you're just like me who actually wears glasses, you actually, well, it depends on how your eyesight is. From blurry, not having glasses. For me, I could actually see well. I can see kind of in details. But for Logan, his eyes are screwed up that when the serial killer pinned him down and took out his contacts, he was done. He didn't have any vision left. And that's when we kind of got a reveal on the face. So I'm like, I don't think it's the ghost of the husband. I think it's a ghost in general. And I'm gonna do my big reveal on my theory because in the end, all three got killed. By three, I mean the mother, the father in the beginning, and Logan at the ending. Probably by freezing, drowning, strangled. I have no idea. So the movie, I actually like this movie because it doesn't give away who was the serial killer, but it makes you think who it was. Like, you're hearing me right now what I'm trying to speculate and what I've actually come up with. So I saw the ending, but if you've seen it, we saw the ending on how it ended. It said open house in a tree, and there was a car driving there, and the story continues. So, my theory is that there's a ghost guy that doesn't want the house to get sold. That's my one theory right now. That he doesn't want anyone buying that house and he's out to get anyone who stays in that house. Because a lot of paranormal stuff went inside the house when Logan and his mom was staying. And we didn't get much glimpse on who or what was his motive. So that is actually one reason. But also, the second theory actually adds on more. And then I have a third theory that's kind of like the same 50-50 chance that this is the theory that might be 100%. But my second theory is that Martha and his husband, and her husband, sorry, her husband are actually behind this. We see in one scene, the same scene that Martha denies that her husband is dead, that she says that she's gonna miss this place and miss it just by visiting if someone buys it. So I'm thinking that Martha's a greedy little woman that actually just wants the house and is willing to kill anyone who actually stays or tries to buy it. But also that kind of debunks when I don't know if we saw like Martha, I forgot actually, so just correct me. I think I saw Martha just like walk out or was in the exact same scene as when they were doing the open house. But I also believe that they are actually behind this. Excuse me. They're actually behind this. It actually kind of add up more than the ghost thing. Most horror games actually and movies apply to these. Like The Conjuring, it's just ghosts who. This actually leads to my third theory, who actually want the house. So my third theory is that this man actually wants to keep the house to himself and is willing to actually haunt and taunt a lot of people to not buying it, to think like, oh, it's paranormal, people died here, we shouldn't buy it, and he's gonna have that house all to himself. It kind of is part of the ghost, but I think he's a physical man because he actually did beat up and drag actually dragged both Logan and his mom. Like, I don't think it's a ghost anymore because I actually debunked that in my head when I saw it. I'm like, it probably isn't a ghost. I was actually waiting for the big reveal at the end to be like, oh, it's probably one of the theories I was thinking, but it actually turns out that there isn't. They didn't really clear up, but since it's almost been a week since this movie came out, probably they actually updated the pages, Wikipedia and all that stuff, and news report on it to the point where one of the theories or none of the theories are actually there. So I actually didn't look up anything besides the ending. I thought that they had like already figured it out, but I guess it didn't. So this is theories. Theories are meant to be either true or false, perspective or not. So that's actually what I've got today. So this was a long video than I expected, but since I'm sick and my throat actually hurts, I'm actually going to end it here. Let me know if you actually have a different theory or what you actually think in general, and rank that movie. I actually love it. Mostly the actor. If you've seen the actor Dylan before 13 Reasons Why and you saw him in Goosebumps or Don't Breathe, good for you. You met him and saw him before he was popular. Same here. I actually saw both films and I'm like, yes, he's the best. He's always actually been in horror movies. They're the best actually. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. So remember, one of a kind, don't forget. And I'll see you in the next video, depending what it is. Bye.